Get ready to learn how to hire in 2027. And the key is to start now, not wait till January. So a founder I know got really fired up in January, posting, I'm hiring. And by March, it completely fell apart. And the problem was the person they hired was fine, but they didn't have everything in place before they hired that person. The timing of it was terrible. There wasn't any setup. They were really just flying by the seat of their pants, building the plane while flying it. Interesting how all of those have fly in it, right? And they were figuring out payroll, onboarding while they were trying to survive Q1 and really get, the momentum going for their business. Also, they're trying to pay someone who's not actually registered to work for them as an employee. Everyone sets out with the best intentions, right? Like you get your budget together and you're planning, okay, we're going to hire January of 2027. We're going to hire next year. And then the year arrives and it's absolutely chaos. Most people are coming back from holidays, sometimes hopefully a break or a vacation, time with family and friends, or maybe you had, a solo trip or a staycation. And now you have to hire someone and make sure that everything is set up correctly in order to do so. Hiring in a panic really does create such a revolving door of people, right? If you want to hear more about that, listen to my last video from last week, because hiring the wrong person and hiring out of desperation is such a common thing that happens when you're trying to do it quick, right? So I would say there's no rush, right? You need to really plan as best as you can to make sure you're prepared so you can do this methodically and make a good, conscious decision on who you want to hire. Motivation in January is absolutely worthless without the foundation that's built in the fall. So let's talk about what it means to do it right? A good hire takes really good setup on your back end. So that starts with determining who you want to hire, having a very clear job description for what you want this person to be doing. This job description is the basis of somebody's entire role, right? It's not the nitty-gritty details, but it's the buckets of what they'll be doing and what the expectations are. So this is a great place to start. You as a business owner, figure out what you need for your business by creating that job description. And then someone who's interviewing knows what's expected of them. And then you'll review it again. You'll review it during their first week. You'll review it at the 6-month mark. You'll review it during reviews, because that job description is your list of expectations for that role. You also need to set up payroll if you're hiring an employee for the first time, especially, or if you're hiring someone that works in a state that you haven't hired before, there is setup involved. So if you're doing it like from scratch, let's say you've never paid anyone W-2 before, and now all of a sudden you will, you need a payroll system. I hate to break it to you. There's a few different ones that I recommend, and it really depends on what the business needs out of it and how many people they're going to be hiring. Will they just be in the United States? Are they global? So there's a few different factors that go into it. I definitely have my favorite recommendations for businesses. So I love working with leaders to determine which software is the best for them, because not only do you want it to be able to process payroll through it, you need to make sure that employees are compliant and set up correctly. So taxes, any sort of withholding that they have, unemployment, all of that goes through payroll. But in a lot of these payroll systems, you can really use them as your one-stop shop for people. So you can onboard your employees through them, upload that offer letter, create that onboarding flow through the system so that when you hire, all you have to do is trigger the link from that payroll system and everything lives in one place. That is obviously preferable, right? There's less room for user error. If you have someone filling out like manual forms and then you're typing it into a system, there's always room for error there. Also, through payroll systems, you can do things like clocking in and out, scheduling, sometimes trainings, like mandatory trainings. I know in New York, sexual harassment trainings mandatory. There's so many different things that these systems can do. And some people might prefer to get onto a PEO, which is a preferred employment organization. You can do that through payroll systems as well. So there's so many different options here. Insurance is something you have to think about. So you'll definitely need workers' comp if you have any W-2 employees. And then if your business requires anything additional, if you work with children, you might need additional insurance. Think about really what your business needs are for that. You'll definitely need unemployment insurance as well. You'll have to register with the states that you're paying people in. So if you have remote workers, that goes by the state they're located in. Their work location is their home. If you have an office, it goes by that people come into. You also have to think about onboarding. So what does that process look like? You want it to be smooth for your new hire. You want them to have such a good experience right off the bat, right? Because you're introducing them to your business. You're making a little bit of a judgment on them in those first few days, and they're doing the same to you. So you want everything to run smooth so that they have a really good experience. And then a handbook also. You absolutely need an employee handbook, even if you have one employee. Non-negotiable. There are certain things that handbooks cover you as a business for, and it creates the standard through your business when it comes to things like policies. I have worked with people so many times who have given different employees different things because they didn't have a policy. So the bereavement leave is a great example. Someone passes, a team member may ask for bereavement leave. You may say, take as much time as you want. They may take a lot of time because that's what they need. And then the next person, you're like, oh, I don't want them to take as much time. So you give them a defined amount of time. That could lead to discrimination claims. So really be careful. Make sure you treat everybody fairly and equally. And policies in an employee handbook is a really good way to stay on track with that. So my recommendation, these are a decent amount of things that have to be done. Start in the fall. If you're looking to hire in January, great, right? Start your interviews in January, get that job posting out there, but you really have so much pre-work to do in the fall. Then you can have your foundations done by December, enjoy the holidays, and then start fresh in January. If you start in January, you're not going to get anybody. You really shouldn't bring anyone on or start hiring until March because you, again, really need these tools and systems in place. You can hire in January or you can set up in January, but you cannot do both, okay? So the fall is the perfect time. It's event season, it's networking season, you're motivated, you're full of ideas, you're riding that wave of energy, and business often slows into the holidays, right? So use that capacity now instead of wasting it and stressing yourself out at the top of the year. Q1 is for executing, not for setting up, okay? So here's the part where I say human resources and you stay put and don't run. The fall setup, that is an HR function. Anything to do with people, who to hire, job descriptions, payroll systems, insurance, onboarding, handbook. That's an HR foundation. It's not an HR department, but it's your HR foundation. And this is exactly what I work on with business owners in my 3-month project. So if you're hiring for the first time, we'll walk through in those 3 months. We'll get you set up with your job descriptions, your payroll system, your employee handbook, and make sure you are fully ready for your new hire. If you already have a team, but you do not have a process in place, I start with an HR audit, and then we utilize those next 2 months to fix any issues you may have that come out of that audit. So make sure you are ready for January without the chaos, okay? We need to start by mid-September, so contact me now to get time on my calendar. Comment discovery below or go to my website to set up a call. Hope to hear from you.